1964.
Okay.
There's a band called The Zombies in England. They have a modest hit with She's Not There. You've heard of it.
Yeah.
A couple years go by, they make another album. Not a huge hit. Their label, in a last-ditch effort, sends the single from their album to America. The song is Time of the Season, and it blew up. You know the song that, what's your name? Who's your daddy?
Yeah.
That one, yeah,
Okay.
etc. Blows up in America. They loved it. Number 3 on the Billboard. 1969, a stateside zombie tour starts under the management company Delta Promotions. Tour is so successful that Delta Promotions launches a second Zombies tour. So for a couple of months in 1969, you could see 2 different Zombies bands touring around America. You're in Dallas, I'm like, oh, I'm going to see the Zombies show. And you write, I don't know how correspondence worked back then, so you write a postcard to your friend in Michigan.
Right.
And you're like, I'm also seeing a Zombies show right now. They're saying they're the Zombies.
Scandal.
Which one was the Zombies?
Yeah.
Neither. The original Zombies broke up in 1969, had no idea that the song was doing well in America, or that there were 2 competing Zombies bands going across the country pretending to be the Zombies. This is the 60s, so no one really knew what bands looked like. They're not going to email or tweet. Like, you can't Google what did the Zombies look like.
Right.
It was just some guy who was like, these are the Zombies. What are your names? Hugh, I think. I'm Mike Zombie. Yeah, that's fine. Nobody knows. The Texas Zombies, there's a guy in it named Frank, a guy in it named Dusty. They were in an older band, and then Delta came to them and was like, we have the rights to the Zombies music. We're an above-board operation. You're going to play Zombies music because you're good. You're going to tour, and you're going to be the Zombies. And a few people were like, what happened to your keyboard player? The Zombies are a 5-piece band. You're only 4. Where's the keyboard player? And they said, he is in jail in Dallas.
Was anyone actually in jail?
No.
They were just like, we don't have the 5th person,
like,
so...
Right. Didn't you
yeah,
used to have
yeah.
a keyboardist? Yeah, he got busted in Dallas, so he's
Sure.
stuck in jail. Because,
Yeah.
like, we're a cool
That's a cool story.
Zombies
Yeah.
band.
Yeah, we're Frank and Dusty. We're cool.
So then they made the Michigan Zombies, which are actually much better. Michigan Zombies were very, very good. The guy at the head of all this was Bill Keogh. He was the head of Delta Promotions, who convinced everyone that he was above board, that they did own the rights to the Zombies music, and that it's okay to go around calling yourself the Zombies.
That can't be true.
Well, that's what Bill Keogh told everyone.
Sounds
And
like Bill Keogh's lying. He
Rolling
sounds like a liar.
Stone reached out to him, and they were like, why are you doing this? He said the original lead singer was killed to Rolling Stone, and that is not true. This is just Bill Keogh is a crazy person.
Did he get into how he died?
No.
How do we do this scheme?
Well, we can't do it now. That's the bummer. We'll
Very
never
true,
be able
yeah.
to pull off quite a scheme like that, but it was like the perfect...
Right.
There's a certain breed of person who existed in the 60s that I think would just, if you were completely morally unscrupulous, you would do things like that. You're just
Yeah.
like, look at all these people obeying laws because someone told them to.
Right.
I'm going to go the other way on that.
All these like facts and misrepresenting people, and not much has changed. Like, it's a little harder to lie to people, but
Yeah.
we're still in a time where like misinformation is
Yeah.
rampant.
It's pretty easy.
Pizza rat. That viral thing. That
Yeah.
was a scheme. That was a woman who knows how to train rats, and she arranged for someone to film
Right.
this rat carrying a pizza.
Right.
Those are the kinds of
Or like-
real-world schemes we can do now.
I feel like Banksy's gonna have these schemes. One of us can be Banksy.
Oh, I'm Banksy.
Oh, what happened to the real? Like, did they get any money off
No,
of that?
no,
or-
absolutely not, no. The lead singer of the Zombies, Chris White, he found out this was going on, and he didn't have a band anymore, but he was still like, look, if people go to a Zombies show and they hate it, they're not going to buy our merch, they're not going to buy our CDs, this is really bad for us. So they would call disc jockeys in America when they heard the Zombies were coming to town. I was like, look, that's not the Zombies. I'm the Zombies, and there aren't any zombies anymore. Stop saying the Zombies are coming. And the DJs are like, look, we've heard a lot of shit from a lot of people. We don't know, maybe you're fake zombies. And that prompted Chris White to be like, all right, and he got his band back together to record more albums to prove to everyone that they were alive and they were the only real living zombies.
That's why they got back together?
Mm-hmm. Things started to unravel because Bill Keogh thought, I've got 2 successful Zombies tours going on, and there's not a single keyboardist among them, and I'm going to do this again. So he made a new The Animals band. You know The Animals.
Yeah.
He made one of them tour America for a while until...
All fake.
Yeah, all fake. And then they stopped because the actual lead singer, Eric Burden, and, quote, a bunch of bikers chased them and threatened them. Like went to one of their shows like, "You're not the animals, I'm the animals, and these are my bikers." And they chased the animals away. And fake animals were like, "We're not the fake animals anymore," and they just like moved on with their lives.
Rock and roll. Right
Yeah,
there.
that's some 60s rock and roll.
It's so 60s rock and roll that everyone in the fake animals tells that story. But when they reached out to Eric, his wife actually was like, "Yeah, I asked him about it. He doesn't totally remember doing that."
Amazing.
But it's reasonable to assume that he did that.
Yeah.
Isn't this story wacky enough already?
Yeah, is there more?
Just slightly wackier. So these guys, Frank and Dusty from before,
Yeah.
Right.
they got really good playing together for a while. We can't be the zombies anymore. It turned out that obvious scheme was a scheme. What do? So they grew their beards very long.
No.
And became
What?
ZZ Top.
No way.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
that.
It had to be ZZ Top or the Allman Brothers. That was my...
Frank
ZZ
Beard
Top.
and
Yeah.
Dusty.
Uh-huh.
Frank Beard and Dusty from the Zombies, but not. Wait, so is ZZ Top named after Zombies Top?
Good for them,
Yeah.
I think.
And Dusty was frequently asked in this interview that I read about this story, this situation, and he doesn't deny it. And the thing that he said most frequently was, it was the 60s.
Ranking in order the winners and losers of this story.
Yeah, do it.
So I think ZZ Top
They
is
win.
the ultimate winner.
Yeah.
Losers are obviously the real zombies.
Mm-hmm.
But they did get back together.
They got back together.
Yeah, but didn't have a success.
Yeah, you're right. They lost.
And like, I'm sure this Delta Promotions guy still made a ton of money.
Michigan zombies are probably losers
yeah.
because they were fake zombies, and then they didn't even get to be real ZZ Top.
Yeah.
after
Oh
that.
yeah. So they're right above.
You were only one of the 3 zombies bands.
Right.
I feel like we should
Yeah.
do this with ZZ Top, though.
Okay.
ZZ Top
Because we
kinda
pretend
needs
to
our
be ZZ
comeuppance.
Top, we can hide ourselves with all the beards and do that. And then when their
Give me 3
lawyers
days.
are like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not ZZ Top," be like, "Excuse me? Am I calling the kettle black much?" And then just keep doing it. They'll be fine with it.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching that video. Click the big C in the middle to subscribe. Click any of the videos around us to watch them. Click the YouTube bell to get notifications when our new videos come out. And make the zombie joke that we forgot to make in the comments about how the band was dead and then it was brought back.
Zombie.